Let's get into it. It's episode 604, Soul Not For Sale podcast. Coach Colin here, and what we have today is some interesting news about Russell Brand. Now, everybody knows about Russell Brand, what he's been doing. He went from being a person who was addicted to a lot of different substances. His life was going in a terrible direction. He ended up finding, I don't want to say Buddhism, but he became sober, he became abstinent, he became very spiritual. And then after becoming so spiritual, he ended up going into podcasting. He started talking about spirituality. He started talking about, living a better life and touching on Buddhist principles and Hindu principles and all the stuff that he learned. And then slowly it changed into him talking about what's going on in the world, culture. This is actually a lot like my story. This is like my life. This is how I went through things as well. And then he started talking about the world. And naturally, when you start talking about the world, you start talking about current events. You start talking about the news. And then you start seeing things. And then your eyes become very open. And then you start calling things out. And then you become a problem. That's just the way I see it. I don't know about how you see it, but Russell Brand is now getting accused of a bunch of things, and it's just as he's becoming someone who has about 6 or 7 million subscribers. He is really pushing against the mainstream narrative. He is taking news stories and calling them out for what they really are. He's not just calling them out. He's bringing notes and research. And he's going really hard, and he's getting a lot of recognition. And like Joe Rogan, he's becoming a voice that people go to instead of the mainstream media. So he just released a video where he's talking about what he's being accused of and how he feels what is actually going on. And I gotta say, before I show the video, this is something that we've seen before. I mean, listen, I won't even say we. This is something I've seen before. I've seen this time and time again. Somebody gets a little too big for their britches, gets a little bit too much influence, and then something happens where they just, all of a sudden, it's like the mainstream media becomes this big mockingbird, and they all have the same thing to say, and they all start pushing it really hard, and the faceless Twitter accounts start to pop up, and they're pushing the same narrative. We've seen this time and time and time again. But I will also say, we don't even know if these allegations are true because people don't even fully know what they are. The woman who was speaking about these allegations has not named him as the person. But Russell Brand wanted to come forward before she did because he claims that he got some really startling letters, emails, from 2 really big news organizations talking about a list of things that they have on him. And I'm just going to play the video really quick. Before I do, of course, I have to bring you to the store. This is IamCoachColin.com. This is the Great Resist shirt. Join the Great Resist and do not join the Great Reset. Why eat crickets when you can eat steak? I'm just saying it's better. And we have the Soul Not For Sale shirt, of course, the one that started it all. And we have the Public Enemy #1 shirt. For those of you that don't know, Google the World Economic Forum, Google Agenda 2030. You'll understand quickly why this gentleman is Public Enemy #1. And we have the Certified Pureblood shirt for those of you that survived the pandemic unscathed, untainted, and deserve a certificate of achievement, because I know from firsthand experience it was very, very hard. And you got through it. Good job. All of this is available on IamCoachColin.com. And if you want 10% off of anything you just saw, all you have to do is put in the discount code IamCoachColin. That's it. All capital letters, all one word, 1 L in the name Colin, gets you 10% off. If you've done that with us already, thank you so much. You're much appreciated. Let's get into this video. Let's get into it. Russell Brand speaking his piece as he should. Let's go.
Hello there, you Awakening Wonders. Now, this isn't the usual type of video we make on this channel where we critique, attack, and undermine the news in all its corruption, because in this story, I am the news. I've received two extremely disturbing letters, or a letter and an email, one from a mainstream media TV company, one from a newspaper, listing a litany of extremely egregious and aggressive attacks, as well as some pretty stupid stuff, like my community festival should be stopped, that I shouldn't be able to attack mainstream media narratives on this channel. But amidst this litany of astonishing, rather baroque attacks are some very serious allegations that I absolutely refute. These allegations pertain to the time when I was working in the mainstream, when I was in the newspapers all the time, when I was in the movies, and as I've written about extensively in my books, I was very, very promiscuous. Now, during that time of promiscuity, the relationships I had were absolutely always consensual. I was always transparent about that then, almost too transparent. And I'm being transparent about it now as well. And to see that transparency metastasized into something criminal that I absolutely deny makes me question, is there another agenda at play? Particularly when we've seen coordinated media attacks before, like with Joe Rogan when he dared to take a medicine that the mainstream media didn't approve of, and we saw a spate of headlines from media outlets across the world using the same language. I'm aware that you guys have been saying in the comments for a while, watch out Russell, they're coming for you, you're getting too close to the truth, Russell Brand did not kill himself. I know that a year ago there was a spate of articles, Russell Brand's a conspiracy theorist, Russell Brand's right wing. I'm aware of news media making phone calls, sending letters to people I know for ages and ages. It's been clear to me, or at least it feels to me, like there's a serious and concerted agenda to control these kind of spaces and these kind of voices. And I mean my voice along with your voice. I don't mind them using my books and my stand-up to talk about my promiscuous, consensual conduct in the past. What I seriously refute are these very, very serious criminal allegations. Also, it's worth mentioning that there are witnesses whose evidence directly contradicts the narratives that these two mainstream media outlets are trying to construct, apparently in what seems to me to be a coordinated attack. Now, I don't want to get into this any further because of the serious nature of the allegations, but I feel like I'm being attacked, and plainly they are working very closely together. We are obviously going to look into this matter because it's very, very serious. In the meantime, I want you to stay close, stay awake, but more important than any of that, if you can, please stay free.
Man, wild what's going on right now. So Russell Brand released that video not that long ago, and it was because of a woman named, I believe this is what's going on, I've been looking into this, her name is Catherine Ryan. She's a woman that Russell had to work with back in the day, I think back in 2018, 2017. She's a comedian, and she was on a show called Dispatches. I believe these mainstream outlets that he's talking about are London based. I think it's an outlet called Channel 4, and she was on a show called Dispatches where she was talking about a certain celebrity who she's calling out because of his misconduct, and everybody just started talking about how this is Russell Brand, and Russell Brand kind of verified it via this video. So now there's a whole bunch of stuff going on. I mean, even within this video, Elon Musk came to his defense here. Of course, they don't like competition. Andrew Tate jumped in, Matrix attack, which, I don't know. If it's not, it kind of looks like one. Hodge twins stepped in. Hodge twins stepped in again. The damn Matrix will come after all of us eventually. They start with people with the biggest reach and influence, and then work their way down. There's just a lot of people that are. This is where we are now. Owen Shafroor was convicted of participating in the Jan 6th incident despite not entering the Capitol, and got 2 months locked up. This is where we are now. It's
Hello there, you Awakening Wonders. Now, this isn't the usual.
This is what it seems like. If we go here, Tucker Carlson even came to his defense as well. Criticized drug companies, questioned the war in Ukraine, and you can be pretty sure this is going to happen. I mean, a lot of guys are stepping in and talking about this, coming to his defense, because we've seen this time and time again. I mean, I'll never forget when Ben Shapiro first came onto the scene and somebody actually suggested that he was anti-Semitic. Like, they went as quick as possible, without learning anything about him, without learning that he's a religious, Orthodox Jewish man. They just went right at him. You know, did the same thing to Jordan Peterson, not realizing Jordan Peterson, one of his best friends in the world, is a Jewish man. It happens time and time again. Joe Rogan's racist. If he's not racist, then he's this. And we've seen it so many times. It's this playbook that keeps popping up, and it's getting so old. Again, I don't know about these allegations. I don't know about what her side of these things are. She has not come out and said that this is Russell Brand. So you can't really know until, I think, tonight. I think there's an episode of the show that's coming out tonight where she will name him. It's very interesting. Again, I understand completely where Russell's coming from. If you're speaking on all this stuff and all of a sudden you get this coordinated effort put against you, one company contacts you, another company contacts you, and now the headlines everywhere are saying the exact same thing, that you're accused of these allegations, and yet you haven't been named by the person, and now there's people who are saying we've known this for years. It's very, very, very telling. We go here. Andrew Tate stepped up to the defense again. Welcome to the club, Rusty Rockets. The Hodge twins actually reposted Russell's video in support. They're coming after Russell Brand now. And then we have people who are on the other side of things. This lady's just like a random lady. She probably doesn't pay for Twitter just to stick it to the man. Doesn't want to give Elon Musk any money. Cool. Russell Brand shifted his views from left to right. It's almost like he knew that one day he would be rumbled and needed to surround himself with people who would be on his side. And then she here he's like, he was right in going right. They're defending him now without knowing what they're defending. Well, people are accusing him without knowing what to really accuse him of. Like, it's incredible. And then she just shows here Elon Musk and Andrew Tate. And then just the thought process of when you approach mainstream media, or when you call out mainstream media, when you call out big Titan-like companies like BlackRock, when you call out pharmaceutical companies for various reasons, to think in your mind that is a right-wing view is so crazy to me. And also to think that Russell Brand is right-wing, like he did this purposely. He's not on the right wing. He's just not. He's left. He's I think he would be classified as like a classical liberal. He's like one of those older people that knew what the left was, just because, in Bill Maher's words, he hasn't hopped on the crazy train all the way to far left. He's now branded as somebody who's on the right. It's such nonsense. Such nonsense. The reason a lot of people on the right tend to identify with him is because he's calling out a lot of what's going on in the world. And they're not identifying with him as a right-wing type of person. They're identifying him or with him as a person who's telling the truth about things. That's it. If someone on the left is telling me the truth about something, I'm not suddenly on the left. If I identify with what they're saying, if I agree with what they're saying, I'm not suddenly on the left. I'm just a person who's connected with another person. You have to, it's just wild, because this is not just one person. This is a narrative that's being toted out there quite a bit, that he forced himself, like he created this whole persona just because he knew this was all going to happen one day. It's incredible. Incredible. Catherine Ryan mentioned someone last year. She did not mention him. This isn't new, and he's built a persona and got a new following of people who hate mainstream media. So when they came out, he could say, see, they want me silenced. To think that he did this on purpose, you have to think, he could easily just disappear into obscurity if he wanted to. He could have done that years ago. He could have literally got clean, became abstinent, became spiritual, and said, well, I don't want nothing to do with the limelight anymore. Goodbye. He could have easily done that. The guy has a net worth of $20 million. That means he has millions of dollars in the bank. He does not have to be doing anything that he's doing. He just doesn't. It's so odd. To make it a left and right thing right away is so incredible. So incredible. And it really, in my mind, it shows me that this is one of these efforts. I don't know for sure, but it's showing all the hallmarks. It just is. This is actually Catherine Ryan here, sitting with Russell Brand. What it says atop: if what the streets are saying is true, and the man Catherine Ryan confronted on set was indeed Russell Brand, then the last time they worked together was 2018 in a roast battle. Years before, Brand went all conspiracy theory and became a self-professed enemy of the mainstream media. Amazing. He did this on purpose. He did it perfect. Like, he just gained a following. Like, what a plan that is, too. Like, now that I'm clean, I could just go be in movies and make millions and millions of dollars easily. But instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a podcast. I'm going to start talking about spirituality, and that's going to snowball into me talking about the mainstream media. And then I'm going to become one of the voices of truth throughout the world. And it's all to protect me from this one lady. Okay. That's a way to think about it, I guess. And then, honestly, when you're saying stuff like this, I guess you can expect this kind of treatment eventually. It goes right back to what Tucker Carlson said. You want to criticize drug companies, call out the Ukraine war, call out mainstream media, you can be pretty sure this is going to happen.
I've not known you long, but I love you already. But I have to say that it's disingenuous to claim that the biases that are exhibited on Fox News are any different from the biases exhibited on MSNBC. It's difficult to suggest that these corporations operate as anything other than mouthpieces for their affiliate owners in BlackRock and Vanguard. And unless we start to embrace, and also, mate, like, just spiritually, if I may use that word in your great country, we have to take responsibility for our own perspective. I've been on that MSNBC, mate. It was propagandist nutcrackery on there. I went on a show called Morning Joe. It was absurd the way they carried on.
Good Morning Joe.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know what it was. It wasn't morning. There was no one called Joe there. No one could concentrate. They didn't understand the basic tenets of journalism. No one was willing to stick up for genuine American heroes like Edward Snowden. No one was willing to talk about Julian Assange and what he's suffered trying to bring real journalism to the American people. And I think to sit within the castle of MSNBC throwing rocks at Fox News is ludicrous.
My friend,
Make MSNBC better. Make MSNBC great again.
My friend, the moment...
Fight them on a territory you can win on, Joe.
Russell, darling, the moment that you give me a specific example, an actual example...
Okay, I'll give you one.
Wait,
Just we need a specific example.
How about a specific... Let me tell you what the specific I'd like to hear of. I'd like to hear a specific example, a provable specific example of an MSNBC correspondent or anchor being on television, saying something they knew was false, and we're saying behind the scenes to people, I'm about to go out, and we know that the election wasn't stolen, or something equivalent.
Example.
But I will go out on television and say the opposite. I will lie.
When's my answer?
Just give me the specific example.
I understand the basic point.
Give me a specific example.
All right.
I'm with you. I think it's a false equivalency, Russell.
It's not.
That's your own bias.
It's not about bias. It's a false equivalency because you don't actually know anything about any of these organizations you're talking about. Even on MSNBC once. Big fucking deal.
My darling, it was more than enough.
You can't come up with such a carry. You have a single actual fact.
Do you want an example? Do you want an example?
Yes.
The ludicrous, outrageous criticisms of Joe Rogan around ivermectin, deliberately referring to it as a horse medicine when they know it's an effective medicine.
Yeah, that's not a bad
Rachel
example.
Maddow turning up on the TV saying, if you take this vaccine, you're not going to get it, when it hadn't been clinically trialed for transmission.
Non-responsive.
You have to listen.
Wait.
Do you think you can improve America by determinedly and avowedly condemning Fox News without acknowledging that you're participating in the same game? Did you not not just listen to Bernie Sanders, someone who plainly, legitimately believes in this country and believes it's possible to change, but is bound by corruption, is bound by the lobbying system. Surely it's clear to you, Bill, as one of the great pundits and experts and comic voices, that systemic change is required. Money has to be taken out of politics. We need new political systems that genuinely represent ordinary Americans so that we can overcome cultural differences. And bickering about which propagandist network is the worst is not going to save a single American life, not improve the life of a single American child, not going to improve America's standing in the world, and the world needs a strong America. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that.
When you do that, when you do what he just did, that's not calling out the mainstream media. That's literally sitting head to head with mainstream media and combating them and winning. In that bout that just happened, he completely won. You know, Chuck Schumer said about Trump, he said, the agencies, they have 6 ways from Sunday to get back at you when they're upset with you. And I think the mainstream media has just as many ways. And I think sometimes when we hear things like this, it could be them exercising that wrath. I don't know. But I will say also, you know, when you're doing stuff like what you just heard Russell Brand do, I doubt you're doing this to hide from one lady. I doubt you're doing this just to get people behind you so that when some person says something about you, you have people to defend you. When you start taking stances like that, when you start saying things like that, you're not doing that because you're afraid of someone. You're doing that because you're done being afraid. I would know because that's what I'm doing currently. Anyways, guys, if you haven't liked the video already, like the video. If you haven't subscribed already, subscribe. And other than that, I'm out.